Ben Wheeler here, the Mercenary King, here with Gear Chronicle. It's a blitz, a never-ending deck profile with no end in sight. Time shenanigans, blah, 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 blah. There's a lot of new stuff coming out for Gear Chronicle that honestly is pretty interesting. They actually codified Time Leap, where you bind a card and summon out something that's grade 1 above it. And honestly, they have a whole bunch of abilities that send stuff back, and then, you know, they have to choose something grade less, which is funny when they have a grade 0. Anyway, let's talk about the deck itself. I've updated it for set G-Break 4, and honestly there's some things I'm not sure about, partly because I haven't done enough testing yet, but quite frankly, I think there's a whole bunch of funny shit that can really make this deck pop. I just, haven't figured out how dependent I want to be on Chronojet yet. You know how it is. Chronojet's basically the only Vanguard you can play right now that isn't Legion, and honestly the Legions are very underwhelming. So, they had this guard manipulation mechanic originally, but that sort of panned out and they're not doing it anymore. Now they're actually focusing on the time stuff, time shenanigans as I call them, and honestly I think they're the better for it, because it doesn't muddle your winning image. Steam Worker Kuda. Put this unit into the Soul, choose a Vanguard until end of turn, plus 5k. When attack hits a Vanguard, choose an opponent's rear guard, and that puts it bottom of the deck. It's a -1 to the opponent and a +5 to your opponent. I like her better. Him better. Gunnegear Dragon Draco Kid is actually a good choice. But hey, this is part of these decks is to experiment, and I like the fact that it adds on hit, retire. If I stride a Fate Wheel, that's a -2. Lost Age Dragon, excuse me. That's a -2. And a lot of people can't recover from that. Well, they can recover, but it's poorly. I run 12 crits. Crit, and crit. I suppose I should put Heat Thump Workers in there, but I don't want to pay for them. Or trade for them. They get expensive, and then they get cheap, and then they get expensive, and they're never cheap when I want them. 4 heals. So I just need to wait till they're cheap again, obviously. Best art. There's a new trial deck coming out. If you haven't gotten your Chronojets yet, just wait for that. Honestly, it's just better. Better just wait. 2, Erningen. Honestly, I'm not really sold on him yet, but he is a free on flip. When your opponent's rear guard is put into the deck due to the effect of one of your cards, grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Chronojet on flip of damage. So you strike Chronojet, and then you do an ability to put something in the back of the deck. You counterblast for it. You want counterblast for this. By the way, both of them go off. It's pretty great if you have 2, but honestly, again, not sold on him. Partly because this deck doesn't use as many counterblasts as you might think. I mean, it has a potential for counterblast, but it doesn't. I don't know how to say this. It's like, even though it has the potential for a lot of counterblasting, it doesn't. Steam Breath Dragon. You should run at least 2. This one's signed. Forethought Gear Fox. Forethoughtful Gear Fox. Forethought Gear Fox is better. When this unit attacks until end of battle, your opponent cannot call grade 0s. He's a Silent Tom. I combo him up with Summit Crest Gear Wolf for a 16k column when I return something to hand. Sorry, to the bottom of the deck. So it's a 16k Tom. That's hilarious. They look at it, it's like a grade 1, and they'll die to it, and it's shameful. So, just be careful how you use it. Great power, great responsibility. 2 G-Break, 2 normal. I just haven't replaced them all with Arlems yet. They're $16 right now, and I don't want to pay that for a Perfect Shield. Most of the Perfect Shields from G4 are actually like $4 to $5 each. So, yeah. 2 Ambers, and that's just to get an unflip off. Minus the opponent more. Remember, some decks suffer from it more than others, and honestly, putting things for Aqua Force to the bottom of the deck is annoying as hell. 2 Smoke Gear Dragons, 10k defense. There's not really a grade 2 I'd replace it with, but I might do like 4 of each and just replace the Ambers. I don't know. Again, I'm still playtesting this deck a bit. It's doing well, but I haven't gotten it to where I want it yet. You know how it is. Steam Knight Calibum, 4 of them. When this unit is placed on rearguard, no G-Break by the way. Choose one of your opponent's rearguards and the opponent returns to the deck. Call something 1 grade or less. And they don't have to, by the way. Because let's say they have a grade 1 that's really annoying. You choose the grade 1, and they have to choose a trigger because they don't have a starter in there yet. Call it to rearguard circle, shuffle the deck. However, if somebody's Legion back a Judge Bow, do not do it. Don't. No, don't. It's dumb. Because Judge Bow showing up again is bad. Bad. Just bad. Okay? Because it brings out more stuff, more advantage, and you don't want your Shadow Paladin player to get that. Same with certain other decks, like, say, Cat Butler. You don't want them to get out of Cat Butler when they're playing Risers. Upstream Dragon. This is a double rare, new one. Their double rares, honestly, are nowhere near as good as their triple rares, or their rares, or even their commons. Because he's good. He starts off things. He can just ruin days. G-Break 1, when seen attacks of Vanguard, plus 4k. Let's say you combo him up with Gearwolf. That's a 23k column. So you send something to the bottom of the deck. If you do, at the end of battle, return this unit to the deck, search for a deck for 1 grade 1, call it to rear, circle, shuffle, tapped, shuffle deck. Honestly, they should have been on tap, but hey, what do I know? This turns into this. You start to see what I'm doing here. So it replaces that. All of a sudden, there's a 16k column that cannot be stopped by grade 0s. Forcing out a perfect shield, or even better, a bunch of grade 1s or 2s that they would otherwise have to replace their rear guards with, that you just send to the bottom of the deck. You see how this game goes. I'm really liking how they're sending out Gear Chronicle, a lot more rear guard support. Previously, the guy would just get the 8k, the 10k, and then Chronojet. Oh, congratulations. But now we have some creativity, some difficulty, some options that isn't just Chronojet or Legion, or pathetic bad Legion. Chronojet deck is probably one of the stronger decks in Vanguard. Not the strongest, but one of the stronger ones. Steam Fighter, Ballet. G-Break 1, when this unit attacks a Vanguard, Counterblast if it hits, and then in the front row puts it bottom of the deck. I don't really use that ability. I don't think I've ever used that ability. The real one is this. During your turn, when the Genie unit strides, choose one of your Vanguards until end of turn. It gets once per turn Counterblast 1. Search your deck for up to 1 Chronojet. Place it on your Vanguard circle as a heart. Shuffle deck. Place card. Choose a heart card named Steam Fighter Bailiff. Put it at the bottom of your deck. From Vanguard circle, put it at the bottom of the deck. It's pretty good. Basically, make sure you have that. You can. What's funny about this is that even though it doesn't allow you to get off Upstream Dragon, you can still run, like, say, Lost Stage, and then just wait for it, or Chronos Command, and then just wait for it. Honestly, there's a lot of stuff there that you can do, provided you have the patience and the mindset for it. Chronojet Dragon. Ace of the deck, winning image, and all that jazz. G-Break 2, when this unit attacks a Vanguard, until end of battle, this unit gets plus 5k, and then your opponent cannot call grade 1 or greater from the hand to G. So you can't perfect him, and honestly, you can get high numbers. Let's say you run Heat Thump Worker, you can boost him up to 21, 27 or more. But honestly, he's a little bit underwhelming, that second ability. Again, they thought they could manipulate guard, and that'd be a great idea, but no, it doesn't. No. Counterblast 1 when it's stridden, put something at the bottom of the deck. Ace of the deck, he does some of the most work of any Vanguard I have seen, especially with so much stuff working for him. Problem is that they're trying to make him like a Dragonic Overlord, but remember, Dragonic Overlord came out with a whole bunch of other support. By the time set 5 came out with the end, there's all kinds of crazy different builds you can make. In fact, I'll be showing off a new one I've done for my Kagura Blade Master soon. It's basically the same thing, but I've improved it, and I've used some of the old stuff from there, like things that get plus 5k whenever. What's that? You kill something during your stride phase? Oh, that thing doesn't get plus 5k? Oh. Well, guess what? This guy does. So, all kinds of crazy stuff that you can do. So, with some of the stuff that doesn't require G-Break, and with the time leaps and other things like that, you really start to see this guy come out into his own, and honestly, he'll soon start dominating the meta more than, he kind of already is for Gear Chronicle. Fate Rider. Choose a rearguard, bottom of the deck. It's Time Leap. Choose one card greater than the unit, call it, and then for each face-up card, you get, in the G-Zone, you get plus 3k. Honestly, you should do him later in the game. Like, let's say after you've Ragnarok, Lost Age Ragnarok, and then run him. That's a plus 9 to various things. Plus 3k to, like, 3 different things, rather. So, he could do work. Plus 3k to this guy's a 16k. And then you give it plus 3k to a Gear Fox. That does more. Just gotta be careful with him. Because he can whiff and other things like that. A people pick a side. They've got a full field. Shuffle the field. By the way, resist does not resist this. Partly because it's not actually targeting a specific rear guard. That's how resist is worded. You pick up all the guards, put them at the bottom, pull out the top 5. Chronos Command. Counterblast 2. Soul Blast 1. Choose a card from your hand, discard it. A little bit overcosted there, but when this unit hits a Vanguard, you may pay the cost if you do -5. Put all the rear guards into the bottom of the deck. Really great stuff. Does a lot of work. However, it's on hit, and while it does, sort of pull out a perfect shield, it's not the best thing. Honestly, I'd replace one of him and one Lost Sage with 2 Next Sages if you care to. I don't really care for Next Sage. He is a crutch sort of card that sort of comes in for the win. However, if you can't win, you're almost crippled. Because instead of getting 3 cards that turn, you get 2. And I'm not counting Heat Thumb Worker, because that would just work whenever. I'm talking like in the normal calculations of things. 2 Interdimensional Dragon Lost Age Dragons. On hit, put something at the bottom of the deck. Ragnarok. There's not much else to say about that, I'm sorry. It's just... Ragnarok Dragon. Counterblast 1. By the way, it would activate him if you do so. Just wanted to make sure. Ragnarok Dragon. Never has there been a card in Vanguard that does more work, but, gets perfect shielded so much. Basically, when this Counterblast 1, flip over a Ragnarok. When this unit attacks Vanguard, pay the cost if you do. Chronicle grade 0s to G. And if the number of face-up cards in your deck is 2 or more, you get a crit. Basically, you can flip it over, and they can't use grade 0s. Or you can wait till you have 2, and they also get a crit. He's a game finisher of a kind, so treat him as such. However, be careful, you do want that counterblast to be available, and expect him to be perfect shielded. However, that's a -2 to your opponent. So hopefully you're backing it up with, say... Or that Gearbox. There's also grade 2 or something that does it for counterblast. However, I found those things too counterblast heavy, and so I'm going for these. Alright, that's Gear Chronicle. My deck right now, it's doing pretty well. It hasn't really screwed up too much. But, more testing shall be done. More of the, stuff should be done. It's just one of those things. I'm not satisfied with Gear Chronicle yet, and I'm hoping Set 5 has a whole bunch of stuff I can use. Alright, now for another deck.